Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Criticast, the only podcast where we upload consistently every week without fail. Today, I'm joined with Noah of SMEB Reviews and Ryan of True North Reviews. How are you guys doing? Well, Noah, you go first.
Well, I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for having me on. I am very excited to discuss Lorde because I absolutely love Lorde. Um, I am very excited for this episode. How about you, Ryan?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me on. This is something I'm really looking forward to talking about. I've known Lorde since when she dropped Pure Heroin, obviously with Royals being the big song on that one that really got everyone introduced to her. But yeah, I'm just really excited to be here. Thanks.
Yeah, for me, the past 2 weeks, I think I'm doing good right now, but the past 2 weeks have been a bit taxing when it comes to like YouTube and stuff. I've been feeling like a premonition of future burnout if I don't stop. Because like I feel sometimes, and if anybody's like, if you've watched my channel, I do a fair bit of negative criticisms about albums, and sometimes they go on little rants, which is not my personality, I guess. And I don't want to always be negative. So I've always been, for the past 2 weeks, been trying to, I guess, lower down on the negative reviews. And I've realized there goes half my content. And so for this week, I'm just kind of taking it slow, maybe reviewing a classic album or doing something like that. And then maybe taking this break off to, I guess, not burn out in the future. Have you guys, Ryan, you go first. Have you ever experienced like burnout on your channel?
For me, right now, it's more just the awkward transition phase because I am moving back and forth between locations right now. But like the whole list week at the end of 2018, that definitely took a toll on me. It was hard to get the motivation to make a video pretty much every day for the last week of the year. But this year I've been having to transition to going back to school, actually start a new job. So listening to new music it's been a little few and far between there. I've been mostly limiting myself to singles, and that's kind of shown in my content that I've been uploading so far. I've only gotten like 2 videos out, both kind of like track reviews. With that, I have another one that I'll be putting out later on before the end of this weekend here. But yeah, I'm definitely struggling right now to like put aside some time to do some album reviews, but hopefully whether it be like a bi-weekly or like a monthly recap kind of thing, I think I'm looking towards doing that just to make sure that I can cover the stuff that I want to be talking about. And yeah.
How about you, Noah?
I think that's probably a pretty good idea, Ryan. I've been if you look at my channel, I've started focusing a lot on doing some more on the go style videos simply because they're quicker. I mean, I typically, anytime I've done it, I've done more casual, like single sort of reviews. I would never do like a full normal album review. But it has, that is a result of burnout as well, because yes, I definitely felt it during this week, being is that if you look at my channel, there was no best songs of 2018 because I just could not force myself to do it. I wanted to, but there was no energy to do it. So I'm just trying to recuperate, and that these on the go videos are a way to do that, so I can still have content and not push myself too hard.
And Ryan, you said a little bit before that the past, I guess, month or two has been kind of, I guess, slower as it always is, and there's not been that much like amazing grab you by the shirt and slap you across the face good music coming out. But I'm wondering what are some releases that are coming out that you guys are excited for?
Well, I'm terrible at looking ahead about what's coming out, so you put me on the spot, and I'm grasping at straws at the moment to come up with something. naturally, I do know that my favorite artist of all time, Jack Antonoff, is putting out Bleachers 3 pretty soon. There is also a smaller local band that I'm very into, Lilac Kings, and they have an album coming out in about a week. So I'm very excited for that. Those are honestly my two real big excitements. I'm also very excited for Cage the Elephant's new album. It's been forever since we heard from them, so I am very excited to have it. And I really enjoyed that new single that they put out on Thursday.
You forgot Ariana Grande, you pig.
You and I both know I'm not looking forward to that.
How about you, Ryan?
All right. Well, Noah, you kind of stole my thunder with the Cage the Elephant there. I also did really enjoy that new single, Ready to Let Go. But other than that, like I noticed that there's the new Florence and the Machine single out there, Moderation. I thought that was incredible. I don't know if that's leading up to another full-length release, but really thought that was much better than, I don't know, a lot that was on High as Hope. Other than that, really looking forward to Vampire Weekend if they put out a new album. I know that they put out Harmony Hall. That's a really good song. I would say that's probably the best that I've heard this year so far. Other than that, looking forward to Catfish and the Bottlemen. I think they're putting out an album in the near future. Other than that, I don't know, Dream Theater. Anyone into the Dream Theater here?
Sorry. I am so excited for Dream Theater. I measure everything that's coming out to how far it is away from Dream Theater, because I think, Ryan, you know Dream Theater is my favorite band, but I love Dream Theater. Yeah, I'm looking forward to Ariana Grande. Let's see. Of course, Little Pump. Dream Theater, as I said before. Let's see what else is coming up. Queensryche. Weezer. I think that's it for Meat Puppets.
I forgot to mention one actually.
Oh, what is it?
Hosier.
Oh yeah, he put out that EP, which I thought was solid last year. What do you guys think of that?
I thought it was incredible. Like I put it as, I think, my number 2 EP, like the second favorite EP of last year. That was only beaten out by I Don't Know How They Found Me. That one was even better. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Hosier's new music just because the EP was solid. Nina Cried Power is amazing, and I don't know, the singles he's put out so far, Almost Sweet Music and Movement. Yeah, Movement is a really good one. So I don't know, what do you think, Noah?
I totally agree. I'm pretty excited for it too. I'm debating as to whether to see him live soon. I thought about it, haven't decided if I can drum up the money to do it. But yeah, I definitely was really enjoying what he had been putting out. It's another artist that's good to hear from because we haven't heard from him in a long time. And Sam, you did mention that you were excited for Weezer's album, and while I love Weezer, I am not excited for it. The singles have been so terrible. I'm very dreading it.
Wait, Ryan, didn't you put their new single as one of your best songs as 2018, or am I imagining something?
I did actually, yeah, Sam. So that was Can't Knock the Hustle. I think I put it in the 20s somewhere, and I don't know, I really enjoyed that one, and I still enjoy it. I still play it pretty much every other day, every few days. I like it a lot. It's hard to explain why, but I don't know. This isn't the first time that Weezer sold out. I don't think it will be the last. And I don't know. I kind of just I ride with Weezer. I don't die with Weezer. Okay, I'll stick through them through the worst. And I don't think this is close to where they were in the past of being the worst. So I'll leave it at that.
I see your point. I feel like Weezer's definitely it's hard to find a single Weezer fan that will agree on what makes Weezer good. I just have really not been enjoying these singles. And I'm someone that's more apologetic for Weezer. I mean, I find some of their lowest moments still tolerable, but man, I I am really not looking forward to this album at the moment, and I do know that they are a band that likes to play a lot of the songs off of their new album live, and I am going to be seeing them, so I'm apprehensive, I guess would be the best word, because I'm concerned that it'll be a lot of the Black Album, and as I've stated, not too excited.
Did the Teal album? Sorry, there. Did the Teal album kind of ruin the expectation for what this album could be? The Black Album.
I liked I liked the Teal album fine. I mean, I felt it was kind of they didn't do enough different with the songs, but I actually didn't mind the Teal album, and I have had the TLC's cover of No Scrubs on all the time. I loved that cover, so I liked it. I just, yeah, no, the Black Album is so far not piquing my interest. But hey, it's just the lead off singles, and it could always be different. The rest of the songs could always change my mind.
Yeah, I thought on the Teal, I thought it seemed a little bit rushed, and I talked about with Kyle from Track by Track, who's been on some episodes, it kind of seemed like Rivers Cuomo wasn't really taking it all that serious, and I think Weezer is a band that simultaneously, I think, takes themselves serious and not serious. Like, you can't really tell what they're going for a lot of the time for me. And like, there were some tracks I thought were okay, nothing like really amazed me, but I really hated the Billie Jean cover because it sounded like he sounded off the beat. He didn't sound like he wanted to be singing the song. Do you guys agree with that, or am I just being hypercritical again? Ryan, you go first.
Specifically for the Billie Jean cover, I kind of found it funny more than anything else, just hearing Rivers kind of like do his best Michael Jackson impression with like the whole he kind of thing. But I don't know, like you're touching on like how they can simultaneously take themselves seriously and not take themselves seriously, but I don't know, I think that plays into what intrigues me the most about them, because you never know what you're going to get.
Yeah, and sometimes that's a good or bad thing. But speaking of knowing what you're going to get, let's actually get to the meat of this discussion. Today we're going to be talking about, I guess, discussing and deciding which is the best Lorde album. Her 2013 Pure Heroin, her breakout album, or 2017's Melodrama. I got those years right, didn't I, guys?
2013 and 2017.
Okay. See, this is the bumps of the podcast I have to deal with. Sometimes sometimes it's a little bit just weird. Okay. Anyway, let's see. Okay. Let's see where we are just real quick. So, Noah, you can kick us off, but what is, like, in summary, what is your thoughts about Lorde? Don't be too specific. I want to leave some discussion for later, but like right off the bat, what do you think of Lorde?
Lorde is definitely very wise beyond her age, which is nothing new. I'm not adding anything new to the discussion, but she has such an incredible sensibility when it comes to songwriting, both in the lyrics and in the music. It's truly incredible despite her age. I have a ton of respect for her, and I don't feel like she has done anything wrong in her career thus far.
How about you, Ryan?
Lorde, as an artist, yeah, I have incredible respect for her. I think she's one of the best songstresses of really the past like 10, 15 years. I would put her up there with Adele. And I don't think she can do no wrong. Like, she hasn't really put her foot in her mouth or screwed anything up yet. She doesn't really brag about her abilities, but she has a lot of talent.
I agree with both of you. I think she's very talented. And I don't think like I think while she's not like the most groundbreaking artist, I think when I listen to her music, I do hear a lot of her contemporaries, but I think she does everything more, I guess you could say, wiser, more thought out, and more ambitious a little bit, and more like mature. Like I hear some Taylor Swift in a lot of her songs, especially like the album as Pure Heroin. But I think she does a lot of things better than most pop artists would do. Ryan, do you agree with that?
I don't hear as many of the contemporaries. I don't think she's the most groundbreaking either, but I don't know. I think she's in like her own unique lane. Pure Heroin, although a little bit more minimalist and at least like the instrumentation. That one I could see a little bit more comparisons to what you're saying, like with Taylor Swift. But Melodrama, I think she definitely stepped up her game and kind of like just defined herself as a unique artist.
Well, and I think the beauty of Lorde is that some of it is very intentional. Like Royals itself is supposed to be, it's supposed to be satire on pop music, and so I think there's a lot of like a lot of those comparisons that you're hearing would be very intentional because she's trying to make satire of it.
Yeah, like on Royals, it's one of my favorite songs by her, and I do get like this feeling sometimes whenever somebody asks me what's your favorite song by an artist, and I say their big song. Geez, let me get this out of my mouth. Okay, and I say their big song, and I feel like I'm not a true fan. Do you guys get that? Noah, do you get that, or then you go, Ryan?
I get the sentiment. For me, at least, Royals is not my favorite Lorde song, but like as the sentiment as a whole, yes, I totally get it because I feel the same way about many artists.
I would say the same, just because I usually can't think of anything off the top of my head right away. But if I have like the track listings in front of me, then like I can pick out some like deeper cuts that I find to be a bit more enjoyable.
I didn't say, just so you know, just to clarify to the people at home who will get mad at me, Royals is not my favorite Lorde song. It's one of my favorite. For some reason, I get if I criticize too much, I'm gonna get criticized right back, and somebody's gonna find something, and I also get worried about that. So I got to clarify that. But I want to start down the track list. Not track list. Sorry, my checklist of what album is better. What to kind of see which overall is the better album. So you can start first, Ryan. But what do you guys think like about the production? Which album has the better production as a whole?
For me personally, can I give it to Melodrama just because I don't know. I think it's a little bit more diverse, but like at the same time, it's cohesive, if that kind of makes sense. Like there's definitely a sonic direction that she was going for, and I think she nailed it with that. But I don't know. I think everything, I don't know, it just sounds more pleasing to my ears in terms of just having like a richer kind of soundscape. Whereas Pure Heroin, I feel like as enjoyable as it is, there's just a lot less going on, and I have a difficult time trying to like just focus on Lorde's voice.
What about you, Noah?
Well, we all know what I'm going to say. Of course, I'm going to give it to Melodrama. I feel like her partnership with Jack Antonoff on a good portion of the track listing really suited her well. He was a natural fit for her, and they made a great songwriting duo. His very bombastic but minimalistic form of production really suits her well, especially because she has such a commanding voice. And he did an incredible job with her on the production. Of course, I was going to give it to Melodrama. Anyone could have predicted that.
I think I have to agree that Melodrama has the better production. One of the things, and I'll go more in detail on this a little bit later as we get down on the checklist, but I found that one of the reasons I think that on Melodrama, the production complements everything a little bit better. It's way more ambient and it's doing more in the background. It's completely filling up the void that on some moments of pure heroin that I do kind of feel. And I feel that really helps draw it in, such as on the track Liability. I think this is my favorite Lorde song, if I had to put it, because it's emotional and I think it is completely complemented by the ambient instrumentation that's kind of swelling up in the background. And I think that really helps the track out. Do you guys have any like examples of how the production is better on this album?
I don't have like just one song that I can just point to and go, this is why it's better, because I really do feel like the album as a whole just flows really nicely, and I think it's more of a the parts, or the whole is greater than its parts, and that's not to insult the songs by any means, but this is definitely one of those albums where I want to listen to it in its entirety, get in Lorde's headspace and that point of view that she has. So for me, this album is definitely one that I don't cherry pick and just choose a song to put on. It's one that it's an experience. It's one that I want to sit down and enjoy in its entirety.
How about you, Ryan?
I get what Noah's saying. Just that I have a couple moments on Melodrama that I feel like kind of definitely make it an improvement over Pure Heroin for the production. Happens on the third track, Homemade Dynamite, with like the whole part, like when she goes into the chorus with like boom, boom, boom. I forget the lyrics at this point, but just like those kind of transitions and just having like the bombastic kind of sounds that kind of flush in at that point. And then also on the sixth track, Hard Feelings and Loveless, basically the transition period in there, and like just having it, I don't know, just the perfect pacing. It doesn't make you think like, okay, where'd the song go? But it's just like, yeah, it's got a great flow all the way through. But those two songs kind of just cement that for me.
I think I agree. I feel like, and I guess I'll just go right into the flow, even though it's kind of out of order, and talk about the flow, because I feel what separates Melodrama and Pure Heroin is the flow of the tracks. I feel that like on Pure Heroin, while it is a great album, I would easily give it a 9 out of 10. I think that sometimes you're not as hooked in by the flow as you are in Melodrama. That's why I think, like you said, it's better to listen to Melodrama as a whole, even though it does have great individual songs like Liabilities, like what's the track right after? I'm blanking on the name.
Hard Feelings and Loveless.
Oh yeah. And I feel like those are tracks that flow so seamlessly together. And I feel like that can be said for everything on Melodrama. And I'm not trying to take away from Pure Heroin in this way, because there are tracks that flow together. But as a whole, I feel that Melodrama flows better. And I think we've already said that. Ryan, you go first. But what do you think about the flow?
With Pure Heroin, I don't know, like this album I never really come back to as much. I really only see like the standout kind of singles. So every time I'm listening to it as a whole, as I was preparing for this podcast, it was just like, I don't know, I was itching to like hear the next single. But with Melodrama, as Noah was already touching on, it's just like something that you want to listen to the entire thing from start to finish. There's no wrong way of listening to it either. So like if I make like a playlist when I'm out and about, walking around, I can listen to the individual songs, but I don't know, there's just something there that instantly like grabs you in with Green Light, and that's just like from there until the end with Perfect Places. I don't know, there's no need for me to be skipping anything because everything is, in terms of quality, is just, it pulls you in.
I agree. Noah, do you have anything more to say on this?
I do not, honestly. I feel like it's been pretty well touched on by you guys.
Before we continue on the checklist, I just want to real quickly come up with something that I just came up with. I just came up with it, and it is what is your guys' favorite lead single from Lorde? Ryan, you go first.
For critical acclaim and just like the sense of hype that was surrounded by it, I would say Royals. But I don't know, just a part of me is wanting to say Green Light, but it didn't really have as much of a pull from fans, I guess. I don't know. I constantly have to deal with my roommate always saying that the music video for Green Light is very freaky, and just like how the way Lorde looks in that video, it just kind of turns him off, and it's just like, well, I guess I can kind of see that too, but I don't know, it's just a weird side note I would put on that.
How about you, Noah?
I don't want to sound as though I'm just falling at the knees of Melodrama, but honestly, I have to give it to Greenlight. I know I see the appeal to Royals, but from its release, I never really got into it, and I think originally that was the only song that I knew from Lorde, and it kind of held me back from getting into her because I didn't really like it. I know that it's supposed to be satire based on pop music and supposed to be this big pop anthem that talks about living a crazy, luscious life. And I get the satire there, but just the complete and utter disregard of how she sounds on Greenlight, because it's impossible to listen to Greenlight and not realize that she's not being mature about this. For an artist that we have so much respect for due to her maturity, and then we hear Greenlight, which is a song where she can't move on from a relationship. She's calling the ex a liar because he wants to go to the beach with this new person, and it's so interesting to me because it shows her at such an immature place, and she knows it. She's self-aware of this fact. But I think that juxtaposition from an artist that we're so used to her maturity really stands out, and I absolutely love Greenlight. Not to mention the excellent production and just how much fun it is.
I think it's Laurels. Geez, what the heck? Royals. I think it's Royals. I like kind of the vocals on Royals, and the lyrics have always kind of intrigued me because and I'm not the best at observing lyrics. Anybody who watches my channel probably knows that. That's why I don't always go deep in on lyrics, and I hear about it in the comments. But I feel it's Royals for me because not only are the vocals, I think, some of the best that Lorde has ever done, but and so is the hook. But I think the lyrics are very intriguing because it has this balance of she's saying, sometimes narcissistic things in a satirical way. She's, kind of making fun of the lush life, but at the same time, she's kind of highlighting, I guess, the negatives of living that life, like in subtle ways, and talking about it not like this is all good, but she's saying it like it's all good, while at the same time she's, as in the song, not what she's actually meaning, but like she's saying it in a way like she's not self-aware as the character that's being played in the song, I guess. Am I saying that right, or am I being stupid about how I'm saying that? About you, Ryan?
No, I get where you're coming from with it. Yeah, like she can sound kind of satirical on it, but like, I don't know, switches in and out with just really good singing. I don't know, I don't really focus as much on the lyrics on Royals, even though like I know that there is a deeper message behind it. And we brought up the whole satire thing so many times. I just want to bring up satire about satire, where making it a little bit more Inception like here, but South Park did like a whole season around like making fun of Lorde, but in a way that was like complimenting her. So I don't know. I when I watched that, I think that's season 18 or something. But when they touched on that, they like this is a show that always makes fun of everything, but in a way that just like was still complimenting her. So like when you can get the creators of South Park kind of complimenting Lorde on her maturity, it's like, wow, there must be something genuine or sincere there.
I just pulled up some lyrics, and I think this is a good example. Gray goose tripping in the bathroom, bloodstains, ball gowns, trashing in the hotel room. We don't care. We're driving Cadillacs in our dreams. That's kind of like a way she's like, in some weird, twisted way, you know, like I'm living the luxe life, but it doesn't come across so luxe from an objective standpoint, you know, like cutting your teeth on wedding rings and that kind of stuff. And I've always found that intriguing. But what do you guys think? Noah, what do you think? You haven't said anything on it.
I totally respect Royals. I get where the appeal comes from. I think my biggest holdup isn't necessarily that it's a bad song. I just never found it interesting. I listened to it and it's never drawn me in. And like I said, I get the satire, how she's saying all these things, and the joke here is that she's making fun of people that live this way. I get that, and I think that that's awesome, and it shows her uniqueness and how intelligent and mature she can be, even though this album came out and she was like 16. So I see the appeal, and I totally respect why this is her biggest hit. It just never quite clicked with me as well as pretty much any of the rest of her music, because I just never really enjoyed this song.
Yeah, that's always I always forget that how young she was when Pure Heroin was released. She was 16, and so that's like a year and a half older than me, and making one of the biggest like songs of the decade. It's one of the songs from like when I was a little bit younger, that because I only listened to radio, so that was always playing, and I discovered her through that. But yeah, it's a really big song, and she did that at like 16. So that's always interesting to note. I think we should move back into the checklist, and I want to start, since we're already on it, let's start talking about lyrics. And I'm going to take the liberty of going first this time, because I think I have something to say. I think, other than the flow, the main thing that I would say as my pretty much one criticism of Pure Heroin is that sometimes in the lyrics, I feel that she's saying so much and she's being so satirical that it almost like cancels out what she's saying. And I feel the lyrics are more mature and more dynamic on what's it called, Melodrama. And Ryan, what do you think of that?
From the lyric standpoint, yeah, like I can't argue with the whole Melodrama just becoming more mature with that. Really plays into the fact that it's more of a concept album. I think she had more of a focus going into it, and that's not to knock her, saying that like as a 16-year-old she wasn't able to make an incredible album, because she still did. It's just that I think she had a bit more of a focus, as you could tell with like the cover art, that like you're going to get what the cover is showing there with like the dark blue, and it's like it's just going to be all about sadness. And like from the first track, we know that she's unable to move on from this relationship. I don't know, there's just more interesting facets of what relationships can be like from it. I know it personally helped me through like a tough time that I was going through with a girlfriend. So I don't know, personally it relates to me a lot, and the lyrics, even though none are really coming to mind, I'll have to be like looking them up as we do this. But I know on Liability, I just love all the lyrics from that. Just so descriptive and so a lot of dancing kind of themes come up with this, and it's kind of laced throughout the entire track listing. I don't know the specific songs for that, but just like this idea of dancing and dancing in the storm and all that kind of stuff that really interests me a lot.
How about you, Noah?
Well, you said that with Melodrama that we were getting a more introspective, personal, sad kind of album, which, I mean, she told us, even from the title, we knew what we were getting into, and she addresses that on Sober too. And even like that self-awareness just shows how amazing she is. And yes, again, I have to give the credit to Melodrama on the lyrics. I feel like I'm going to have a hard time saying that Pure Heroin's better in many categories, mainly because Melodrama is just her, but more matured, and that is you can't fault her for not being the most amazing artist at 16, but yet somehow she was an amazing artist, and she could only get better with age. To talk about one song that specifically really moves me off of Melodrama, I want to talk about Writer in the Dark. That is a song that was so inspirational for me. It's such a unique song. The only other time that I've heard it ever addressed in that sort of sense about being a songwriter and how you make your own world because they're the ones presenting it to us, was The Songwriter off of Father John Misty's most recent release. Both songs are incredible, but the songwriter or Writer in the Dark really was an inspirational song for me and inspired me a lot. I'm not really a songwriter, never been a good songwriter, but I spent hours after listening to this trying to make something of a similar concept. It was so inspirational and such an incredibly good song.
I agree. That is a very good song, and I'm sure. Ryan, do you agree?
I do, and I kind of think that Noah was. I knew he was going to bring up the Father John Misty song there because I remember watching that video where he talked about that at length. But for me, the only other kind of album that I can draw similarities to with that would be Trench by 21 Pilots. I don't know, not directly talked about, but Tyler Joseph definitely kind of like explains like his thought process of creating a world. And I don't know, it's an incredible talent to be able to do that. And to touch on like a song on Melodrama that moved me a lot, is what Noah was saying with Writer in the Dark. That song kind of happened with me with Supercut. That immediately follows it up on the track listing there. But with Supercut, I don't know, I just feel like to have that thought in your mind that like, okay, this relationship, it's all just gonna flash by in one quick little clip or reel kind of thing with a movie just playing through your head. That kind of just sits with me in a very crazy way to think of life as like when we ultimately reach our end point of dying. It's a sad thought to really bring up here, but I don't know, just like kind of motivates you just to live each day to the fullest.
I definitely agree. And out of the topics, we've talked about production, we've talked about lyrics, we've talked about flow, and those are we have three more to talk about. So we'll see if Pure Heroin makes a comeback. But I think, based on what everybody said, I think I know what we're all going to say about this. But how about songwriting? Which album do you think, as a conglomerate, has the best songs overall and has the more interesting, creative, ambitious songwriting?
I'm going to mix things up. I definitely believe both albums are great, but I will give the point to Pure Heroin. Hear me out. while the lyrics and production and everything about Melodrama is incredible, we do get a couple of reprises, and while there's nothing wrong with reprises, it does take up a portion of the album, and even we readdress some similar musical themes that we heard in Pure Heroin. So I'm going to give it to Pure Heroin because I think, as I was saying, I think that Melodrama is a near perfect album with hardly any flaws. Pure Heroin is a great album in each individual song sense because, again, as I said, I feel like Melodrama is one that you need to listen to as an album. Pure Heroin, there's so many songs on it that I love to just listen to in their own right. So that's why I'm giving this point to Pure Heroin. The argument can easily be made for Melodrama, but I will give this one to Pure Heroin.
And usually I would give it to the other host, but I have to take a liberty to respond to you. Noah, I think I was also going to mix it up because I'm kind of indecisive on this check mark here because I feel Melodrama is better as a whole album. And I think Pure Heroin is just as good when it comes to, if you just look at the track list and look at the songs, I think it has almost an equal amount of good songwriting. Like White Teeth Teens, I think, is a great song. I love Tennis Court. I love Royals, which are just like 3 great songs. And there's several other on the album. But I think when you take away, like the transitions into different songs, I think it's equal, and I don't want to, play that card of, well, I think they're both great, but I think really on this box here, I think I'm going to have to, cancel it out because I think they're equal. What do you think of it, Ryan?
So you're sitting on the fence?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I get what Noah was saying with the whole, as individual songs on Pure Heroin, I don't know, like they definitely seem like a more original or kind of inspired approach to the songwriting. There isn't any repeats with the reprises. So like as a microcosm, like each song is going to sound amazing, but I don't know, I'm still going to give it to Melodrama just because I'm one who enjoys listening to reprises and any kind of longer transitions between songs. Just that's what I've been into over the past, like, ever since I've gotten into music. I know like Coldplay is an artist that comes to mind with that. Some of their kind of interludes that they do going into some of their biggest hits. But talking about Lorde, though, I don't know. I feel like the songwriting that she puts into it to kind of not do the exact same, like with Sober, and then what she does on Sober 2 and Liability and the reprise of Liability. I feel like she plays with it enough that makes it feel like it's somewhat different. So, and I actually enjoy like the second parts of those songs, and it comes at the right time in the track listing that I can just fully sit through it and enjoy it.
Well, for the first time in this episode, we actually all have different opinions. So that's interesting. I think we should move on to the fourth, I guess, well, actually fifth, but Flow. Oh, geez, not Flow. Experience. As an album experience, which is the better album?
Melodrama.
Ryan, yeah. Ryan, do you agree?
Yeah, Melodrama, definitely, hands down. I feel like this entire podcast is just us like being like, oh, yeah, Melodrama is just a lot better, but that's no knock against Pure Heroin. I think we're just being extreme fanboys at this point.
Yeah, I know that Not Real Music, Ryan from Not Real Music, there's your fellow Ryan buddy, but he said that he gets more into Pure Heroin, so maybe I should shoot him a DM or something and ask him why. But anyway, Oh, wait. I guess that we should reach out to the comments and say, if any of you think that Pure Heroin is the better album, if there's any of you purists out there, let us know in the comments, angrily, very angrily, in a hateful manner. Let us know why we are all wrong, because I actually do want to know if there's a defending point to Pure Heroin, because I mean, I think we all agree that Pure Heroin is a great album. I think we just all think that Melodrama in almost every category, except for songwriting, which is important, is the better album. So I guess that brings us to overall final thoughts, and like our conclusion with which is the better album. Ryan, you go first.
At this point, really hasn't been much that I haven't said already, but just the initial kind of release, kind of response that I had to both of these albums is what really is the take-home message for me. Every time I come back to them, it's just, it came at different times of my life, like as a personal kind of thing to be listening to. Pure Heroin, something that I really only knew for Royals for a couple of years, and then that was always played on the radio, like you were saying, Sam. That was how I was exposed to it a lot too. It got to a point where I was kind of sick of it, just because I was also playing that song in my band that I was a part of in high school. So that kind of tired me out on that front. But Melodrama came at a very personal, kind of heart-wrenching time for me. So that one, I can see the arguments if anyone wants to say Pure Heroin's better, but I'll forever defend Melodrama just because it's such a personal and like enjoyable experience from front to back.
How about you, Noah?
Of course, it's Melodrama. Melodrama is an incredible album, and as we've all said, by no means is that a knock to Pure Heroin. Pure Heroin's an incredible album, but she simply topped herself with Melodrama, and I think it's so close to perfect. It is an amazing album. Every track is amazing. I can't say that I wish that one was not in the track listing. I absolutely love it, and it just shows her at a more mature point in her life. And I think that while the fact that she was able to write an album like Pure Heroin at only 16, it's incredible. And she's such an incredibly talented individual. But with a couple more years of experience, Melodrama is amazing. The additions that Jack Antonoff had in her songwriting style and the sounds that they created together, it was a perfect match. It's just a great album, and unfortunately Pure Heroin, an already amazing album, just can't stand up to it.
I have one point just to add.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of like a side comment, so you can like go into like the next kind of topic
Mm-hmm.
with I don't know, like where we would kind of place these albums as like in the entire decade, like how good would we say they are, like where they would kind of land on that kind of list if we did like the best of the 2010s.
Well, if I'm being honest, I haven't been around for music for like the entire 2010s. So
what about we more give them like a number rating? Would that work?
Okay. Okay. Who wants to go first?
Wait, is this just like rating each individual album, like on a scale of 10?
I thought that I thought that might be easier than that, because at least Sam and I as well don't. I mean, I don't know where I'd put everything in.
Okay,
in the
I'm just looking ahead too far, I guess.
No, you're fine. But Sam, you can do your final comments, and then you can segue into this.
Okay, well, my final comments is pretty much everything you guys said. And Melodrama, I think, is a way more, I guess, like, introspective album, and it's very more inviting, I think. I think it's way easier to, like, fall into its trap and once you fall in, you're sucked in, and there's no way you're turning off the album. And I feel like that's what's always been my experience up until like a couple weeks ago. Because if I'm being honest, at first, for some reason, I always thought Pure Heroin was the better album, and I think over time as I've matured, I've started to appreciate Melodrama more. And I don't think I ever gave Melodrama like a full attentive listen where I was like really open minded for some reason. So when I was listening to it again, I kind of changed stances. I got to be transparent, but yeah, I just think Melodrama is better. And real quick comment. Noah, we need to get you to meet Jack Antonoff. It seems like this is what you want with your life.
It's the one dream that I wish that I could achieve one day.
It's honestly not like that far off if you think about it, because I see interviews with like, say like a Taylor Swift on people's YouTube channels, which have like 20,000 subs. So I think since obviously Jack Antonoff, even though he's worked with Taylor Swift and almost made me vomit, I think he's more realistic. I think I'm actually, if we can grow. Yeah, okay. Anyway, I'm planning stuff in my head, but Ryan, you go first and give your rating for each individual album if you had to rate it like on your rating scale.
Okay, I'm gonna do it on a 10-point scale just because that's what I do on my channel. But
Yeah.
for Pure Heroin, I don't know. I feel like both of you will put it at a 9, but I'm gonna go with an 8. Just because I don't know. Like, it doesn't take away to say that it's like any less of an album. It's just not at that level of what I usually rate albums. If you want to check out my channel to really see a few of them, it's like anything like Parquet Courts, their new album. I don't know. I wouldn't really put it up on that next level. But this one, I don't know. With Pure Heroin, it's just like, yeah, there are enjoyable songs on it, but in its entirety, I can't really come back to it as a whole, and that's what really kind of differentiates it from being an 8 to a 9, I guess. And then for Melodrama, I would give it a 10 out of 10, honestly. Like, I've only done that with one review so far on my channel because I've only been in existence for the past year. But if I were able to go back into 2017 and actually review this album, it was definitely my album of the year for 2017, and I'm pretty confident already to say that it's going to be like one of the best albums of the decade.
I would probably insert myself. I think I would give Pure Heroin, if I'm like not in a critical mood, I'm just jamming out, I would probably give it like a 9. I would think that is a fair thing. And I would give Melodrama a 9.9, because sometimes I do points if I really need to articulate how close it is to a 10. But I think there's this difference in my mind from when you go, okay, this is absolutely phenomenal. It almost has no flaws. And even if you can't even find a flaw, I think there's a sense that you get whether, a Marquise Hill jazz record is a 10 or if it's a 9.9. And for that one, I gave it a 10. And sometimes I feel bad when I give it 10 because I'm worried that maybe in the future I'll change my mind, or maybe I gave it too quick. I was too, I shot it off too quick, but I think I would give a 9.9 for Melodrama because it doesn't suck me in as much as the New Daughters album did, which I give a 10, or the latest Marquise Hill record did. So that's what my stance on it is. How about you, Noah?
Well, I just do 0.5s and then whole numbers, but mine are good. I'd give Pure Heroin an 8.5 out of 10. And Melodrama would be a 9.5, which I'm pretty sure is what I gave it on my review whenever I did it. I have yet to give a perfect 10 ever, and Melodrama just isn't quite there, though I do absolutely love it.
Real quick, Ryan, what album did you give a 10? I haven't seen your stuff from a while back, only from the past 2 months, but What did you give it? What was your 10?
Kids See Ghosts.
Kids. That's a good album.
I have to be the one that says that I liked Ye better than I liked Kids See Ghosts.
Wow.
I know, I'm that guy.
How do I kick him from the call? Let's see.
Hey, it was in my best albums of 2018, I'm pretty sure.
Really? Are you? I forgot that you liked Ye.
Yeah, I loved Ye.
Really?
Yeah, I know. Hey, I feel like I'm not in the minority. I feel like it's a pretty even split on which one people believe are better.
You know, my stance on Kanye is, I think a lot of people think he's very charismatic, and I think in his solo work, except for Graduation, I think he's not that charismatic. Am I the only one who thinks that? Sometimes he kind of gets on my nerves. I don't know why. Did you think that, Ryan?
I don't know. I've been a fan of him since really when he came up. So the only album that kind of upset me was Jesus, but that's just something we don't want to really talk about.
I think Graduation would be the perfect album experience, with all the great sampling. If it didn't have what's the I can't you're the Drunk Girls song. Man, I hate that song. But anyway, so yeah, well, that's gonna wrap it up, I think, for this episode of Criticast. Make sure to subscribe and follow Noah and Ryan on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram. Yeah, you guys are both on there. They have great channels, and I really like watching their stuff. And I think if you like watching my stuff, or just check out our channels. I don't need to justify it. And follow the podcast on Twitter, Instagram, YouTube. And if you are now listening to it on YouTube, number one, thank you for listening to it and giving us the view. But next time, consider listening to it on an audio platform such as iTunes, Google Play, or SoundCloud, because that helps us get into the charts for podcasts, which eventually will help us grow and reach a bigger audience, because YouTube isn't that great for doing that. So go check us out there. And yeah, you heard me right. We're on iTunes now. So go check that out. We'll be seeing you guys next time on the Criticast.